ad for high-definition TVs in the New York Times. As you can see there, it features an actor that does indeed bear a pretty striking resemblance to the former football star. And you can see the photo that's on that TV screen is also a different man performing one of Pele's signature moves on the field. Now, the lawsuit alleges that Samsung ran that ad after breaking off endorsement negotiations back in 2013, Pele claiming at least $30 million in damages. According to Chicago, we'll be hearing that case, Stuart.
30 million. Wonder if he'll get it. We'll find out. Thank you very much, Kate. Kate with business here on France 24. Now, we've decided on the programme it's a very bad day to be a president today, potentially for François Hollande here in France, potentially also for Jacob Zuma in South Africa, and certainly for Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff. Claire is looking at that in the international papers, aren't you?
Yeah, President Rousseff is having a really hard time. She is in hot water in Brazil, and one look at the press in Brazil shows that this week they've been dominating headlines with the possible impeachment. So she's facing impeachment proceedings. She's accused of manipulating the state's finances so that to cover up the poor state of Brazil's economy. Have a look at the O Dia newspaper today. They published a poll. You can see that there. 10%, only 10% of Brazilians trust Rousseff. 69% don't trust her at all, and the rest are undecided. So they're pretty appalling figures for Dilma Rousseff there. There's also a very interesting blog on O Globo, blog do Noblat. It's interesting because basically the blogger is saying, it's rather critical of Rousseff, but he's saying the Rousseff government, or the Dilma government, because in Brazil presidents are very often known by their first name, is not dead yet. So the government of Dilma is not dead yet, and actually that's even more dangerous. He compares her government to a snake, which is almost dead but not quite dead, and that's more dangerous because instead of a healthy snake that's moving around, a dead snake can still bite and can still be dangerous, but can sort of stealthily react when you're not expecting it.
OK, well, it's a bad day for presidents, Rousseff. Also a bad day for vice presidents as well, apparently, because the vice president there is getting a bit of a spotlight as well.
He's getting a little bit more spotlight than he would like. This is Michel Temer. He's the vice president of Brazil, and he runs the PMDB party. Now, that was the biggest party in Rousseff's coalition government, but it pulled out earlier this week. Massive headache for her. And now, of course, Temer is getting accused of vying for the presidency. Now, he's been very careful to say, I'm not acting, I'm not thinking about future governments, I just want to deal with the political crisis right now. But there's an interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal, focused on Temer, who the guy is. He's a 75-year-old, he's a lawyer, and the Wall Street Journal calls him a backstreet dealer who's spent years in the background and now wants his share of the spotlight. Says he's aiming higher, and so he's aiming for the presidency. Even though Temer would never admit it, he clearly is, according to the Wall Street Journal, aiming for the presidency.
And if Rousseff hadn't changed her travel plans, because she was due to go to the US this week, wasn't she? But she changed those plans. He would actually have filled in for her as president. Exactly.
So he's the vice president, which means if she's impeached, he would fill in for her. And also when she's out of the country, as she was supposed to be today in Washington for the nuclear summit with Barack Obama, he would have been the one filling in for her. So what's interesting is that she abruptly cancelled this trip. And it's a big deal. Barack Obama's organised this nuclear summit. 50 heads of states are going to be there. Barack Obama even wrote in the Washington Post a whole piece about the nuclear summit, the kind of goals. It's not every day that the US president writes in national newspapers, so it's a big deal for him. Rousseff said she couldn't go because of the political crisis. And anyway, in this piece, if you want to know a little bit more about that summit, in this piece, we've got basically Barack Obama saying he is committed to a world without nuclear weapons, and the biggest threat to the world right now is nuclear power.
OK, now, Claire, you've also found out about a dispute going on. This is between a German television channel and the Turkish president. Tell us what it's all about.
Yes, this is an interesting story. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now, but it's not yet died down. But a drama. The German TV channel NDR has a show called Extra 3. Now, it's a satirical show, mocks politicians relentlessly, but took aim at Turkish President Erdogan, and that did not go down well in Ankara. Turkey's furious, wants this song that was played in the show, withdrawn. Now, the song is basically, it's called Erdui, Erduo, Erdogan. Okay. It mocks, it's all over the German press, as you can see that there. Yeah. It mocks Erdogan in a kind of, a very satirical way, really. It's basically saying Erdogan is the boss of the Bosphorus. The song goes on to ridicule the migrant deal that the EU recently struck with Turkey, saying, well, Erdogan, who's in charge, really, he's the guy in charge. Angela Merkel, she better be nice to him because she needs him. Now, Turkey wants the song withdrawn. Germany saying, of course, we can't do that. We're a country of freedom of the press.
Yeah.
And, it's freely available online. All you need to do is to go onto the YouTube channel of 3Extra, and you can find the video in English. You can
Noting
also
this
find
down.
it in
Yeah.
Turkish. There's Turkish subtitles. So they're obviously aiming at an audience outside Germany too.
Okay, sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not sure asking for it to be withdrawn probably sort of fueled the flames.
I think
but
it
anyway.
did. I think it did.
All right, thank you very much, Claire. Claire with the papers and Kate with business for us today here on France 24.